Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson. How's it going tonight? Thanks for joining us this evening. Andrew Bone is going to be with us momentarily. We're waiting actually on Kendrick Blackshire to see if the announcement is at 8 p.m. So obviously there's a lot of things that we got to take care of at BamaInsider.com. So Andrew Bone's going to be here and we're going to talk recruiting. So be sure and post your questions in the comment box. Before we get started, if you're new to the show, thank you so much. Be sure and hit the like and subscribe button right here on the channel. It certainly helps our channel grow. So we appreciate that. And another thing that I really want to talk to you about is super chats. Super chats really help the staff, get new equipment. It goes to, Bama Insider. So super chats certainly help. So I definitely encourage those. There's other channels out there and I know you guys have lots of options, but right here on BamaInsider.com, we really work hard to bring you the quality content that you deserve. So super chats is certainly something that, we need to push up. So thank you very much for joining us. I have a couple different nuggets that I want to talk to you about before we bring on Andrew Bone. And the first is mandatory workouts started today here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So what exactly does that mean? Well, players are able to practice at the practice facilities. Now, the coaches watch the players from the offices. They weren't down on the field with the particular players. As you know, Steve Sarkisian just had heart surgery just recently. So, they have to be conservative in all of those facets, but the players are going through offensive drills and they're running plays right now. So the offense is working with the offense, defense is working with the defense. And you also have a couple other nuggets of note. So number one, Najee Harris is not in Tuscaloosa right now. You've seen a lot of kind of the social media feed that he's working out on his own. Another player that is not on campus right now, that's Killen Robinson. I don't know why he's not on campus. Some of the players don't have to be on campus. They could be working out on their own. And then Byron Young is the other guy. But I think everyone else is working out here in Tuscaloosa. I have heard really good things about Trey Sanders. As you guys know, Trey Sanders missed last season, but he's coming back. So a lot of people really excited about what he brings. And I think one of the key things to think about when you talk about Trey Sanders is the fact that he catches the football so well out of the backfield. So when you have these Alabama running backs that can not only carry the football, but can also catch the ball well, just like we saw Najee Harris do last season. He had a big season catching the football. It was certainly very positive for the offense overall. Another thing that so if you're just joining us, we do have Andrew Bone. We're waiting to see if this commitment does go through right now on Kendrick Blackshire. We're kind of waiting. He did say he'll announce today. He's a 4-star linebacker. So we're going to bring Andrew Bone on right now. So just bear with us. Just kind of talking about some nuggets that I posted on BamaInsider.com. So if you want to join BamaInsider.com, that's we'd certainly welcome to earn your business, and you can catch the free 30 days in this description box. Free 30 days, and you get to talk with Andrew Bone, myself, all day long on BamaInsider.com. So a couple other things that I really want to talk to you about is let's see. There was another running back that I heard is really standing out. That's Roydell Williams. He's a freshman running back. As you know, Alabama returns so much talent on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't think that there's going to be any freshman that really starts for Alabama, but I think there could be a freshman that could potentially start on the defensive side. And I get it. Everybody's trying to figure out what type of season this is going to be, some sort of Frankenstein type season. But the way I'm looking at it right now is we're going to act like there's going to be a season until we're notified that there's not going to be a season, right? The SEC athletic directors did meet on Monday, and they're discussing the options. And, you've seen the Big Ten, you've seen the Pac-12 talk about conference only play. Would SEC follow suit? Probably. That probably makes most sense. And my question is, would Georgia and Alabama still be the first game of the SEC slate, or would they rearrange those games? So a lot to talk about. And I know you want to know, is there going to be a college football season? Just like myself, trying to figure out what exactly is going to happen with the 2020 college football season. If you're just joining us again, we're waiting on Kendrick Blackshire to commit. And actually, I'll bring in Bone right now. Bone, what's up, man? See, I told you I Bone here. We're waiting, right, Bone?
What's up? How's it going?
Good. So I guess we could wait a little bit more, Bone, or do you want to start the show?
Hey, let's rock and roll.
Well, I think Wesley just said Blackshire is live on Instagram. So do you want to check that out, and then we'll bring you back?
I'll come back here in a few minutes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Let's let Bone do his magic and watch Kendrick Blackshire as a 4-star that is out of the state of Texas. Be a great linebacker pickup for the Alabama Crimson side, as he saw earlier today. Alabama defensive coordinator Pete Golding, with the flex signal, usually that indicates that there is going to be a commitment. And we've been waiting on Kendrick Blackshire for quite some time. Andrew and I have talked about him several times, and tonight Kendrick Blackshire is announcing. So we'll bring that to you. Hey, Bone, could you turn that down?
I can't see that.
Hey, Bone. All right. So, like I was saying, right now we're waiting on Kendrick Blackshire. Hold on 1 second.
Oh my God.
All right, there we go. So I dropped some nuggets earlier today on BamaInsider.com. So if you want to check out those nuggets, go to BamaInsider.com and you can read about what the team is doing right now and kind of the backstory about, why some particular players aren't there. If you have questions for me, you can post them in the comment box. And just like I said, we'll bring on Andrew Bone in just a minute. And actually, Brian Robinson was actually the first running back today that was working out. A lot of people haven't talked about Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson, he's a big running back, 230 pounds. He's paid his dues here at Tuscaloosa. And he's from Tuscaloosa. So, I think he could have a quality season. I don't know how many carries he's going to have just because you do have Najee Harris returning. We're just talking team now. On the defensive side of the ball, I think that, all eyes on Dylan Moses, right? I mean, him returning. Hey, we appreciate it. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. There we go with the super chats. Hey, we can get the super chats. If we can hit a goal tonight, over $50 on super chats, that would be big time. So let's hit that mark tonight on the super chats. But I think on the defensive side of the ball, all eyes on Dylan Moses, right? Pete Golding certainly has to be happy that Dylan Moses is returning back for the 2020 season. I think there's a lot of question marks when we talk about Alabama's defense in the secondary, right? Where's Patrick Surtain going to play? Is he going to play that star position? Who is going to be the corners for Alabama during this season? And as I talked about earlier, what type of season are we going to have? I don't know, but I'm talking about the defense as if we are going to have some sort of a season. Bummed out that we didn't get to see Alabama and USC. I thought Alabama obviously was the big favorite and was the heavy favorite in that particular game. And I think USC avoided a couple things. Number one, they probably avoided a 3-touchdown loss. I think Alabama was going to put it on them in that game, right? And that's not being fancy. I just think Alabama's offense just so dangerous going into that game. You got to think that USC now is a favorite to play in whatever Pac-12 championship game or whatever they decide to do, and they probably keep their coach. So things work out for USC, and Alabama will be fine. So we're waiting right now to see from Andrew Bone, and we're waiting to see what's going on with Kendrick Blackshire. So I got Bone with me, and as soon as we get Kendrick Blackshire, we'll bring Andrew on and we will talk recruiting. So you can post, if you have team questions, you can post them right now in the comment box, and I'd appreciate it. The quarterback situation, I think, at Alabama, I think everybody knows, you have Bryce Young, you have Mac Jones coming back. By the way, I mean, you got to check out Bryce Young's highlights that we posted just recently, where his father posted his whole senior highlights. And they were amazing, right? His escapability in the pocket is phenomenal. I was really bummed out that we didn't get to see him during the springtime. And, can't wait to see what type of improvements that he's made from his high school to his first year in college. Big dude coming up, and, a lot of people expecting great things from Bryce Young and Mac Jones. I mean, Mac Jones had a great season last year, and, coming back with a lot of confidence. I think this guy feels that this is his team, and rightfully so. He's done a good job leading this team in the back end of the season when Tua Tagovailoa did go down. And then you have Paul Tyson, a guy that a lot of people don't talk about. He's a big kid, 6'5", 230 pounds, been doing a lot of work. Looks like he's making a lot of progress. So he's Alabama's only pro-style quarterback. So keep your eyes on Paul Tyson. And still waiting on Kendrick Blackshire. Bringing on Andrew right now. Hold on. Okay. Won't bring him on just yet. Still waiting on Kendrick Blackshire. I don't know how much longer this is going to go. But as soon as it's over, I'll bring you Andrew Bone and we'll talk recruiting. Let me know where you're coming from in the comment box. I appreciate it to hear where you guys are coming from. If you guys have, all right, Jay, I got a question. He's got a question for me right now. Let's see. Where was that question? Who will be the surprise defensive back this year? That's a good question. Could Josh Jobe be that guy? Right? We've all kind of been waiting to see if Josh Jobe, what type of player that he is going to turn into. I think a lot of people were expecting Josh Jobe to have a big season last year. Didn't have that big season last year. So maybe this year, when you look at a guy like Josh Jobe, I think he could be a guy who really rises up and contributes at the corner position. A lot of people talking about Jalen Armour-Davis. He's another guy who was injured during his first season at Alabama, but he's coming back. A lot of people excited about him. Obviously, Patrick Surtain. People have mixed reviews on Patrick Surtain. How do you guys feel about Patrick Surtain? Do you guys feel that he's a quality corner? Do you feel that he needs to work on his coverage skills? Let me know in the comment box how you guys feel about Patrick Surtain. I like what Surtain brings to the table. I certainly think he's going to play in the league. I mean, he has a size, he has a length, he has a speed. He's obviously big time. So let me check my phone real quick. I'm waiting for a text from Andrew. Still waiting on Kendrick Blackshire. A couple guys talking about what's up, Ronnie? I see you talking about Jordan Battle. Obviously, he had a big freshman season. Jordan Battle, key contributor for Alabama, and I think coming back for his sophomore season, he's certainly a guy that should really stand out in the defensive secondary as a sophomore. I think DeMarco Hellams is another guy to watch for. DeMarco Hellams, Daniel Wright, those guys as safeties. DeMarco Hellams is a thumper. You've seen the videos before. We've talked about him before. DeMarco Hellams is a guy who I think could come up and bring the wood, right? I mean, he's a big boy. Daniel Wright, he's another guy that a lot of people aren't talking about. I've seen Daniel Wright several times. He has great agility, great athleticism. He's an upperclassman. So Alabama certainly needs some veteran leadership on the defensive side of the ball. So maybe Daniel Wright could be that surprise defensive back. Let's see. All right, still waiting on Kendrick Blackshire. I know you guys want to know. Let's see. What's up, Paul? Who starts opposite of Battle at safety? Well, just as I was just saying, DeMarco Hellams or Daniel Wright, I don't think you could go wrong with either. I kind of feel DeMarco Hellams will be that guy that steps up, but I guess your guess is as good as mine. Moving on, talking about Patrick Surtain. You guys have any other questions about the defensive side? How about linebackers? Let's talk linebackers for a second. I know we talked about Dylan Moses, and if you're just joining the show, hang tight. I'll bring Andrew Bone in. We're waiting on Kendrick Blackshire's announcement. He's announcing right now on Instagram. So if you want to check it out, Instagram, and then come back to our show and we'll talk recruiting, that's fine. But I will have Andrew Bone, so hang with us. I'm talking some team right now. I think, let's see, we got a question coming in right now. All right, who will play outside linebacker? That's a good question. I think it could be some of these younger freshmen, right? A lot of people excited about Will Anderson. A lot of people excited about Drew Sanders. But how about this name? And when you look at Alabama's defense, how about Chris Allen? How about Christopher Allen being a guy that really rises up and can be that guy that can get after the quarterback? I think when you look at this defense, the outside linebackers, it's a little bit thin. You lose Terrell Lewis, you lose Anthony Jennings, two guys who were veterans, but you return Christopher Allen and a guy kind of like LeBron Ray in a sense, that a guy who really, missed out on the season because of an injury. But with him returning, I think Christopher Allen could have a really big season. Some of those freshmen, you got to think they're looking good. And then you have King Makuta, who will be his second year at Alabama. You have Kevin Harris, another guy who will be a second season at Alabama. So there's some young talent at that outside linebacker position. And I think, there's certainly going to be some guys to step up. Now, I think when we also talk about, I like this, Demoy Kennedy. I don't know if Demoy Kennedy at middle linebacker, but Demoy Kennedy somewhere, right? Let's see. Paul, another question. This is interesting when we look at Ismail Sopsher. A lot of people have asked about Ismail Sopsher time and time again. Remember, he's a defensive tackle out of the state of Louisiana that came over, high expectations. He never got on the field. And to be honest, I felt he was out of shape when he first got to Alabama. So one of the things that I was looking forward to in the springtime is to see how much progress that Ismail Sobcher, had made year over year, because I think people want to see, some sort of production from him in the second year. Now, I think when you look at the defensive line, it's obvious that Christian Barmore is the guy that everybody wants to see just get after the quarterback. I think he played like a man on fire. And I think that, in my opinion, he didn't play enough last season. I think that, they should have unleashed him more, because I felt that he was one of the only the defensive linemen to get after the quarterback last year, or at least just wreak havoc on the defensive back on opposing offenses. Right. I felt that Raekwon Davis, while he did great on Pro Football Focus, I felt that something was lacking this last year. So maybe Christian Barmore could be that guy. Let's see. Oh, here's a question on Ben Davis. I don't know. Is this finally going to be the year that Ben Davis gets onto the football field? I don't know. I think that's $1 million question. We've seen Ben Davis work at the inside linebacker position. We've seen him work at outside. Maybe if things click well and Sal Sinceri, if he can really get with Ben Davis and Ben Davis can maybe get on the field, wouldn't that be a story? I mean, he's waited all this time to get on the field, and then finally his last season at Alabama, he finally gets on the field. I don't know. It's a great question to see if, Ben Davis could get on the field this year. I don't know. LeBron Ray, I agree with you. Hank, what's up? Thanks for checking in. I think LeBron Ray is certainly due for a big year at Alabama. And I know if you guys are just joining us, the recruiting show will start momentarily. We're waiting for Kendrick Blackshire's announcement. I do have Andrew Bone with me right now, so I'll pipe him in as soon as Kendrick Blackshire announces. We'll talk about Kendrick Blackshire more in depth. We'll kind of do what it means, and then we'll take your recruiting questions. And one thing that I talked to everyone about in the beginning of the show is the super chats. So sincerely, hit the super chat button. We appreciate it, and certainly helps our staff right here on BamaInsider.com. Let's see. Paul's talking about Barmore. Let's see. Any other questions on the defensive side of the ball? Because I think this Alabama defense, you got to think about Alabama has most of their coaches coming back, which I think is really going to bode well for the overall defense. Freddie Roach is a name that we've talked a lot about. He's played at Alabama, coached at Alabama before. Now he's coaching the defensive lineman, played linebacker at Alabama. So I think maybe the transition of him knowing how to get after the quarterback could bode well for a lot of those younger defensive linemen, because there's a lot of younger defensive linemen on this roster, a lot of guys that got playing time. And, so Freddie Roach, certainly a name that everybody's watching, and, he has some big shoes to fill, right? When you coach Alabama's defensive linemen, you're going to have guys that go to the league. So everybody's watching him. Let's see what else we got. Blackshire ain't announcing. Someone said, what y'all think about Devontae Smith? We've talked about Devontae Smith. He's got speed. This guy's like a 4.3 speed guy. So you have Devontae Smith, who will be a senior at Alabama, wide receiver, and then you have Devontae Smith, who's a new commitment to Alabama. I know it was confusing when everybody got the notification that saw it was Devontae Smith. And let's see. I'm checking the update on Kendrick Blackshire. So give me a second. He just got off Instagram Live, said he's going to post the video. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Kendrick Blackshire. So we'll continue to kill time, talk team, and then when Andrew's ready, he's going to text me and we'll bring him in and we'll talk about it. Do you think DeMarco Hellams could play dime back for Alabama? I think DeMarco Hellams is versatile enough to play in any situation that Alabama needs. Obviously, he's not going to play cornerback, but I think regarding his overall ability to play safety and the fact that he's, a big safety, I think he needs to get onto the field. Certainly liked what I saw from him last year. Kyle, any word on the junior college running back? No, I no words on the junior college corner that committed to Alabama. Name skipping my mind right now. Haven't talked about him in a little bit of time, but maybe he's a guy who could step up at Alabama and be that corner, because I think the corner position probably still open going into the season. I know I talked earlier in the show about Jalen Armour Davis. I talked about Josh Jobe, maybe a younger guy. Marcus Banks is another guy that, a lot of people were high on. But I think the corner position certainly open. Ronald Williams. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it. Ronald Williams is a junior college addition for Alabama, so he could be definitely a new name. I appreciate it, Johnny. Hat tip to you. Who would be the second unit at D-line? That's a good question. I think there's a lot of names that you can kind of rotate in and out. You got to have guys that can get after the quarterback. Who's that going to be? I mean, you got LeBron Ray, you got Christian Barmore, Justin Ebogbe. I thought Justin Ebogbe did great last year, right? He's a guy that I think really can get after the quarterback. And Ronnie, I see you right here. Don't sleep on Brian Branch. Excellent addition. Thank you for adding Brian Branch. Could certainly be a guy that steps up. Tim, as I just talked about, we're waiting for Andrew Bone to jump on because we're waiting for Kendrick Blackshire. Then we're going to talk recruiting. So right now, filling time talking team-wise, but I got Andrew Bone here. So as soon as Kendrick Blackshire commits or whatever is going to go on, it's, we'll, let's see. Bone, I'm going to bring Bone in right now. All right. Bone, what's up, man?
Yo, what's going on?
Oh my goodness. What is going on? Jeez.
I'm just partying over here. That's why I hadn't been in the show.
All right. So look, Andrew Bones here is talking team. Obviously, this is recruiting time right now. If you guys want to talk more team, if you guys want to have some more shows with me talking team, I'll bring in some other staff members, then we could definitely do that and talk team as Alabama continues to start workouts. Mentioned earlier in the show, we appreciate the super chats. So definitely hit us up with the super chats. And at the very least, hit like and subscribe. And then, of course, free 30 days at BamaInsider.com. Talking recruiting tonight with Andrew Bone. Alabama has 11 commitments right now. We're waiting on Kendrick Blackshire. What's strong lean, obviously, to Alabama, right?
I believe so. We should know here momentarily, but Kendrick Blackshire, the four-star linebacker from Duncanville High School in Texas, he actually transferred from Mesquite Horn High School for his junior season to Duncanville, and then tore his ACL before the first game of his junior season. So missed his entire junior season, but from a physical standpoint, he's one of the most impressive linebackers that you've seen that you want to step off of the bus. I mean, you want him to be the first guy to step off the bus when you show up on somebody else's campus, and he's physically well put together. I mean, we're evaluating him really kind of from a sophomore standpoint. Evaluating his film, kind of tough, because you can't watch any of his junior highlights, see how much better he's gotten from his, really from his sophomore year until, even now to his senior year. We didn't get a chance to see him during the spring at camps because he's, back to 100%. So we didn't get a chance to see him, but, from his sophomore film, it's, pretty impressive film. Sideline to sideline guy, very physical. Will come up, hit you right in the hole. I mean, that's kind of what, he's all about. I mean, he's going to be an inside linebacker, could potentially be outside guy. I mean, he's got the frame as an Anthony Jennings type player, but I think he's going to end up playing inside linebacker. He's right now about 200 and I think around 235, 240 pounds. There's a lot of sites that list him at 255, 260, but he's shed a little bit of weight. He's gotten in a little bit better shape. And that was kind of his, his size, going into his junior year and, kind of losing, losing a little bit of weight from just working out and not really doing much. I guess working out from pretty much January until now and kind of missing the last, part of his, or the entire part of his junior season. So, I really like him. I mean, I think he's a great player. I mean, this would be a tremendous addition to Alabama's linebacker class. We know about the linebackers that are currently committed, and Ian Jackson and Deontay Lawson, two in-state guys. Both have the ability to play inside or out. I think Ian Jackson's probably more inside guy, about 6'2", 6'1.5", 6'2", about 215 pounds right now. Deontay Lawson, a little bit bigger, 6'3", close to about 220, 222 pounds right now. Dallas Turner, excellent outside linebacker, edge rusher. Going to be interesting kind of see how he develops over the course of the next couple years. Does he potentially grow into a defensive end? We don't know yet. Alabama loves his athletic ability, coming from the edge, rushing on the outside. I mean, he had 16 sacks during his junior season, and hopefully, if the season will get going, and he'll have some time to work out with NFL Hall of Famer Jason Taylor. That's kind of the reason he moved from American Heritage in Plantation to Fort Lauderdale to play at St. Thomas Aquinas to kind of work under Jason Taylor this season. And unfortunately, that really hasn't happened yet. But we'll kind of see over the course of the next couple of years how much he develops, if he ends up being an outside linebacker or potentially, like I said, a defensive end.
All right, post your recruiting questions right now in the comment box here with Andrew Bone. We are waiting on Kendrick Blackshire. Obviously, we thought that was going to happen at 8 o'clock, so we're still waiting on that. And if that does, in fact, break, Andrew Bone and I will talk about Kendrick Blackshire, what it means to Alabama, and so forth. Now is a good time to post your recruiting questions, and we start off Hoop Ninja talking about Brian Thomas and where is he leaning?
Well, good question. I mean, Brian Thomas, one of Alabama's top wide receiver targets in this 2021 recruiting class out of Louisiana, was kind of considered a strong Alabama lean last summer, and really leading up until about March. I would say around April, May is when we started hearing a lot of noise that LSU had taken advantage and had taken the lead, and they were the team to beat for him. But really over the course of the last, I would say, month or so, I've started really hearing some positive things about Alabama. Now, I think I made a prediction on Brian Thomas a couple weeks ago for Alabama. I put in my futurecast on Rivals.com for Brian Thomas to Alabama. And it made a lot of people think that he was about to jump on board, but I didn't want to scare too many people. But I don't think he was going to make a decision anytime soon. I think he was going to wait a little bit longer. Now, he has only visited two of his schools in his top four, Alabama and LSU. Hasn't visited Texas A&M, hasn't visited Georgia. He wants to visit those schools before he makes that decision. So I don't see him making a decision before, maybe until the senior season, or not until the senior season, or maybe midway through the senior season. So we'll kind of wait, see what happens there. But as of right now, leaning towards Alabama, in my opinion. I think Alabama's in the driver's seat. Now, I've been saying for a while, they're probably only going to take 4 wide receivers in this class. They already have 3, Ajay Hall, Christian Leary, and Ja'Cory Brooks. Brian Thomas jumping on board could potentially end, in the recruiting class at the wide receiver position. Now, there's still a few other guys that are out there. Malcolm Johnson's a big target. Destin Payzon's a big target. So we'll kind of wait and see. But yeah, I mean, I think Brian Thomas is certainly a guy that I would lean towards right now, favoring Alabama.
Hey, Baum Edwards, appreciate the super chat right here on the screen. And like Baum Edwards is saying, if you can't super chat, we, certainly hit the thumbs up and like button. We appreciate it. Bone, you got to come back to us. Bone, you there? I don't know what happened to Bone. Okay. All right. Looks like Bone is having technical issues. Bone, you good? All right. All right. Let me get Bone back. I don't know what happened to Bone. So he'll be back. So, we're still waiting on the Kendrick Blackshire commitment. And here we go. Kendrick Blackshire has just committed to Alabama. All right. So breaking news, Kendrick Blackshire has committed to Alabama. Back here with Andrew Bone. Bone, you ready? If it happened.
It finally happened.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Thumbs up for Kendrick Blackshire to Alabama. He has committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. All right. So breaking news. Let me get the banner up. And breaking, Kendrick Blackshire has committed. Bone, what does it mean for Alabama?
Well, it's big. I really like the commitment of Kendrick Blackshire. Like I just said, we kind of broke him down. I mean, he's the 12th commitment in Alabama's 2021 recruiting class, the 4th linebacker commitment. So linebacker numbers are getting a little tight right now. It's going to be interesting to kind of see how it kind of shapes up these next few months, especially with the guys that are still out there. Jeremiah Williams from Ramsey High School in Birmingham, Xavier Sori from IMG Academy, Keno Cote, another interesting target for Alabama because he just recently committed to LSU, but I still believe Alabama's in the hunt for him. They're not going to give up. They're still recruiting him. So we'll keep an eye out on Keno Cote over the upcoming months, see if he ends up making a trip back to Tuscaloosa. But big commitment for Blackshire. We can't, now we can kind of talk a little bit more. So back in, I want to say it was back in April. It was maybe mid-April. We kind of got tipped off that he was about to announce his commitment and it was going to be to Alabama. Now, after we heard that, probably about an hour later, we saw we saw Pete Golding do a little flex emoji on Twitter. Nothing ended up happening that week. Well, we had heard that Blackshire was about to go public for Alabama back then, but he decided to hold off. I think it was about a week later, put out a top 6, which included Alabama, of course, but felt very confident that it was going to be Alabama the whole time, regardless of him deciding to wait for whatever reason. Now, from what we were told, he wanted to take some more visits. He was pretty sure that's Alabama was where he wanted to go. His family wanted him to, maybe take some more visits just to make sure. Well, he was going to take those visits during the summer. Didn't happen. Well, kind of, midway through June, I think he kind of decided, all right, this isn't going to happen. I'm not going to be able to take visits at least until the season. I know where I want to go. Let's get a video crew to get together and shoot a video for us. So that's what he did. Got a video crew, did a video, and announced his commitment to Alabama. So this is commitment number 12 for Alabama. I keep telling everybody, and I've been telling everybody since March, don't worry about the recruiting class. Everything's going to work out, and it's starting to really roll for Alabama right now. 12 commitments. I think they're going to get a few more potentially this week, and I think things are going to go pretty well leading up until hopefully the start of college football season.
But when we look at Kendrick Blackshire, we look at the recruiting picture, obviously Pete Golding being defensive coordinator with his flex emojis. Was it all Pete Golding? I assume that Jeff Banks played a role as well in the recruitment of Kendrick Blackshire.
Yeah, Jeff Banks did. Jeff Banks, lead recruiter for Kendrick Blackshire, has had that relationship going on strong for over a year now. Blackshire actually visited Tuscaloosa last summer, and I think it was early June. Camped at Alabama, and it was expected to come back for the cookout and commit. Now, he ended up coming back to the cookout, but didn't commit. He ended up going to LSU, and there was a lot of talk, a lot of buzz that LSU had kind of overtaken Alabama for his commitment. But he ended up waiting a little bit longer, way through the season. Obviously, he had that torn ACL. And I think Alabama just, consistency. The new strength staff, I think, played a big role in his recruitment. All those factors, and I think that Alabama landed a big time player tonight, and somebody that I think Alabama fans have been waiting on forever. It's like Kendrick Blackshire, JaQuincy McKinstry, and the Brockermeyer twins have been the most consistently asked questions for the last few months. When are they going to commit, and are they going to commit to Alabama? And obviously a big one dropped tonight in Kendrick Blackshire.
Bone, we talked about this before. I mean, the importance of Alabama maintaining strong relations in the state of Texas. Obviously, there's so much talent in the state of Texas. People are going to ask you tonight on the recruiting show about the Brockermeyer brothers. What other recruits is Alabama actively recruiting in the state of Texas?
Well, I mean, obviously the Brockermeyer twins. I mean, they're two of Alabama's top overall targets. I think that they're probably getting pretty close to making a decision as well. Shamar Turner, a big-time defensive end that has Alabama as one of his top 5, top 6 schools. Alabama certainly would love to add his commitment to this recruiting class. If we want to talk about maybe some running backs, because everybody wants to know, is Alabama going to sign a running back in this class? I think 2 guys that you have to kind of watch to kind of see what happens is Kamar Wheaton, the number 1 running back in the country out of Texas. Also, Alton McCaskill, running back that just got offered a few weeks ago by Alabama. And those are 2 guys that are uncommitted, that Alabama's recruiting, that have said that they're still very interested in the Crimson Tide. So those are 2 guys from Texas at the running back position that I'd keep an eye on, kind of moving forward. But I mean, we talked about the Brockermeyer twins. Another offensive lineman that's out in the state of Texas that's being recruited by Alabama is Eric Cade. He's a big lineman, 6'7", 350 pounds. Now, very interested to kind of see what happens with this offensive line class over the course of the next month or so. Will the Brockermeyer twins jump on board? TJ Ferguson is announcing on Sunday. As of right now, I have him future casted to Alabama. Marius Mims, another big-time target, 5-star number 1 offensive lineman in the country, is going to be announcing his decision on August the 15th. A lot of people think he's going to go to Georgia, but Alabama's certainly still in the mix, and he's going to drop, I think, a top group tomorrow. So everybody's going to be paying pretty close attention to that. So I think lots really just going to depend on kind of what happens with this offensive line board over the course of the next month, and maybe we'll start talking about guys like Eric Cade, Jager Burton, William Griffin Parker, maybe a little bit more than we have been.
Hey, Bone, got a question coming in, and this is from Colton. If Kendrick Blackshire commits, which he did tonight, and it's breaking news that we're covering right here on BamaInsider.com, do you think it'll dictate Sorey's decision?
A lot of these linebackers are, a lot of them are kind of different. Kendrick Blackshire probably more of an inside guy. Sorey can play outside, can play inside. Could potentially be a jack. He's 6'3", about 215, 220 pounds right now. Will it potentially affect Sorey's commitment to maybe go somewhere else? It might on his end. Now on Alabama's end, it's not. Alabama's still going to keep him as a top priority recruit. Certainly would love to add him in this class, but you look at Alabama's linebacker class from 2020, which I felt like was one of the best linebacker classes in the Nick Saban era, maybe the best. And then you add on 4 really, really good players in this year's class already. Does that potentially, not necessarily scare some people off, but you're looking at the depth chart and you're wondering, hey, there's 5 linebackers in this class, 4 in this class already. Maybe this class signed 3 and there's only 2 committed right now. Maybe you want to go there, but Sorey remains a top priority for Alabama, and they're going to continue to heavily pursue him. We'll see what happens. I mean, I know that Alabama and Georgia are probably his top 2 right now, but we'll just have to wait and see kind of what happens with him.
All right, here we go. We got Cameron. He's asking for a Koolaide update. We know what's coming, Andrew, so fire away on JaQuincy McKinstry.
Well, Koolaide, the number 1 player in the state of Alabama from Pinson Valley High School, is going to be announcing a top 3 come Sunday. Now, everyone's kind of speculating as to who it may be. My best guess is it's going to be Alabama, Auburn, and LSU. And it will probably be a big surprise if one of those schools is not on the list. Georgia and Clemson currently in this top 5, but just not sure what's going to happen there with those 2 schools. So as of right now, I think it's going to be that top 3. In terms of when is he going to make a decision, nobody really knows. I don't think he's going to. I've been saying he can commit tomorrow. He can commit next week. He can commit on signing day. As of right now, kind of leaning more towards he's going to wait a little while. He's going to wait, maybe take some visits this fall. He potentially might wait until the Under Armour game if that happens. But as of right now, not thinking he's going to decide anytime soon. And I think my prediction, like I said, I think is going to be Alabama, LSU, and Auburn come Sunday.
All right, Bone. You've talked about Jason Marshall a ton recently. You've provided updates on BamaInsider.com. You had a great video where you got answered a ton of questions this past weekend. Anything new? Just kind of give a quick update because you've talked about Jason Marshall so much.
Yeah, Jason Marshall, I think he's going to come out with a top 5. He came out with a top 3 a couple months ago with Alabama, Florida, and Clemson. I recently put in a future cast for Alabama. I just think that Alabama's in a great position with him. That didn't necessarily mean he was going to commit right away or commit on the July 4th weekend, as many were thinking he was going to. Sage Ryan, one of the top defensive backs in the country out of Louisiana, just outside of Baton Rouge. Cousins Kevin Falk, who is the running backs coach, former running back at LSU. So probably going to be a little bit of an uphill battle there. I mean, we already know that Alabama has a few defensive back commitments on board, and obviously still going after some big names. And Sage Ryan certainly one of the guys that they really like a lot and would love to add. But I just think with LSU's recent national championship, the way that they're able to develop defensive backs, I mean, kind of just the same as Alabama. The family connections might be a little tough for Alabama, but they're certainly in it, and I think he's going to at least take an official visit.
All right. Staying with secondary players, latest on Khyree Jackson. What's the update there?
Khyree Jackson, one of the top junior college defensive backs in the country out of East Mississippi. not really sure what he's going to do or when he's going to do it. And, he put out a top 6 about a month and a half ago. Kind of thought that he was going to commit to Alabama. A couple weeks ago, he's decided to hold off. He was going to commit on. He actually put out a commitment date of July I believe it's July the 11th, and decided to hold off. So, we'll kind of have. He's another guy that we're just kind of waiting. He's been on our kind of who's next to commitment, or excuse me, who's next to commit list for the last month or so, but still watching him pretty closely. I think Alabama's still in pretty good shape, but I think time might be running out a little bit just because there's a lot of other defensive back targets that are out there that we could potentially see make decisions here pretty soon. The window's starting to close a little bit just about every single day.
I like this next one from Hank Pease. Bring on the Payne. I assume he's talking about Damon Payne, who should be announcing soon. What's the latest on Damon Payne? I believe that he's announcing. Is it next week?
Yeah, July the 26th. Damon Payne is going to be announcing his decision. Really like Alabama here, as I've been saying for pretty much since the beginning of the year. Just recently put in an official future cast on rivals for Damon Payne to Alabama. Now, there's a lot of other schools that are very high on his list that he's liked a lot. And I've consistently mentioned Kentucky as a program that he's always liked. And everybody says, well, Alabama's going to beat Kentucky for a recruit. Well, last year, 5-star defensive lineman Justin Rogers, who's also from Michigan, signed with Kentucky, and they've become really good friends. And they've known each other throughout the last couple of years. But in my opinion, I think Damon Payne is going to end up committing to Alabama on July the 26th, and that would be a huge get for the Crimson Tide. Number 1 player in the state of Michigan. I think he's number 31 overall in the Rivals 100, so that would be a huge get. And as of right now, just one defensive line commitment in Anquin Barnes, so that'd be good for Alabama to go ahead and get another elite defensive lineman on board.
I want to give a quick pub to Rumble. He's got Bama versus USC tickets for sale, so be sure to hit him up. It's funny, but it's sad at the same point. I mean, I was looking forward to that game. I was looking forward to going to Jerry's World. Never been there. Here we go. We got another one from Mr. Flakes. What's the latest on Jeremiah Williams?
Not a lot. I mean, he's kind of just taking a back seat right now to the recruiting process. Wants to take some visits during the fall. A lot of SEC schools still in the mix with him. Alabama, Auburn, Florida, LSU. Also likes Oklahoma a lot. Likes Georgia. I think he's going to take some visits before making a decision. So, not really in any rush right now. We kind of thought that he was going to make a decision kind of in the middle of the summer. I talked to him maybe in early June. He said that, with the dead period kind of extending throughout the entire summer, that he was probably going to make a decision soon. Then kind of a little bit later on, he said, decided not going to make a decision anytime soon. Want to take visits this fall, make sure he's making the right decision. So, that's kind of the latest with him.
Bone, there's been, a couple major commitments that decommitted from Clemson. Jonathan's talking about Jordan Hancock decommitted as well. Why are these guys decommitting? Is Alabama actively recruiting any of these guys? If you could talk about these decommits for the time being.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking about how great Clemson's class was, early on in the recruiting process. And, I kept telling people, there's a lot of guys that are committing early that are probably still going to be heavily pursued by a lot of top programs. And they're probably going to want to take some visits down the road. With Clemson, once you commit, you're committed. You don't take any visits. You're done with the recruiting process. Corey Foreman, the number 1 player in the Rivals 100, backed away from that Clemson commitment. Clemson may still end up getting him, but I actually think Corey Foreman ends up going to the West Coast, or staying on the West Coast with Oregon or USC. But Alabama did make his top 7 last week, so we'll see if he'll potentially make a trip to Tuscaloosa. Once the dead period is lifted. Jordan Hancock, another guy that we've talked about, almost every single week. Really ever since he committed to Clemson. I said, Alabama wasn't going to slow down recruiting him. They were going to continue to pursue, which they have. From what we're hearing, Ohio State has really made the biggest impression on him. as of right now, and they could be in the driver's seat for Jordan Hancock. But looks like Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia are probably the three schools that are right there in the mix with Hancock right now. If he decides to commit soon, I do believe it's going to be Ohio State. But if he decides to wait a little bit longer, Alabama's going to have a chance.
All right. Take a minute right now and hit the thumbs up button. We appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button. We appreciate that as well. Here with Andrew Bone. My name is Kyle Henderson. All the content back at BamaInsider.com. Remember, free 30-day promo code is simply Roll Tide. Go check it out. Be a member of BamaInsider.com. You get free 30 days. Now is a great time considering all the recruiting momentum for Alabama. Get 30 days free to BamaInsider.com. My email, write it down, Kyle@BamaInsider.com. If you have any questions about joining the website, hit me up. Be happy to communicate with you. Here with Andrew Bone, talking Alabama Crimson Tide football. Remember, super chats definitely help the staff. Let's see. Bone, Brady's talking about Terrence Ferguson, who I believe is committing. What's the latest on Terrence Ferguson and kind of how you feeling? I mean, where are you leaning on him?
So Terrence Ferguson, offensive lineman, Rivals 100 offensive lineman from Peach County High School in Georgia. We started talking about him, more than a year ago, and we really felt like Alabama had been in the driver's seat for him from pretty much last summer, throughout the whole football season, up until probably about March. Was really feeling Alabama there, and then all of a sudden it just kind of changed. All the momentum shifted into Georgia's favor. Everybody we talked to, Georgia, heavy favorite for him. It was a done deal. He was going to Georgia. Kind of continued to hear that, throughout May, throughout June, and then probably a couple of weeks ago, started hearing, kind of keep an eye on Terrence Ferguson. He could end up potentially in Alabama's class. It's not a done deal to Georgia. So once we kind of started doing a little bit of digging, it kind of felt like, I posted about this in my Monday recruiting thoughts on BamaInsider.com. So you can go back and read the Monday recruiting thoughts. But, one of the thoughts was about Amarius Mims and Terrence Ferguson. And I said, I don't believe that Georgia gets both of those guys. I firmly believe that Alabama gets one, and I think Georgia gets one. Now, there might be a situation where Alabama gets two, but I don't think it's. I just think one's going to go one place and one's going to go another. And I kind of said that a few years ago with Tyson Campbell and Patrick Surtain Jr. I said, I'm not sure which one's Alabama going to get or which one's Georgia going to get. But everybody thought that Tyson Campbell was going to Alabama for the longest time, and Patrick Surtain was going to LSU. I kept thinking, one was going to go to Alabama and one was going to go elsewhere. So Alabama ends up getting one of those guys. And now I think that Alabama's going to end up getting one of these big offensive linemen from the state of Georgia. And as of right now, I think I really like Alabama's chances in getting TJ Ferguson. I think the momentum's kind of shifted back into Alabama's favor. I think they've made him a top priority recruit from day one. I feel like he's always felt that way from Alabama. Alabama really didn't sign a big offensive line class in 2020, signed 3 offensive linemen. This is a class where they really need to sign, at least 5 really good offensive linemen. They've got one on board right now in J.C. Latham. I think they're going to get the Brockermeyer twins. They get another one they get another elite guy like TJ Ferguson on board this weekend. We're really going to be talking very highly of this offensive line class moving forward. And we'll see kind of what happens. Maybe that 5th offensive line spot could Alabama potentially land Amarius Mims. It's possible, but I think there's some other guys that are out there that Alabama's got a good chance to land, even if they don't get Mims. But as of right now, I think Ferguson ends up going to Alabama.
Now, I mean, just thinking about that is just like early Christmas, right? There's like good stuff in 2020 is Alabama's recruitment on the offensive line. That would be unbelievable. Paul Robinson, always asking great questions, asking what's the latest on Terrion Arnold.
Well, there's a new interview on Rivals.com that I just saw earlier today on Terrion Arnold, and nothing new with him. I mean, he's kind of saying the same thing as I just mentioned about Jeremiah Williams. No rush into making a decision. Really wants to kind of enjoy the process if he can. Take some visits this fall. I don't feel like he feels like there's not going to be room left at the end at Alabama or any of these other top programs that are heavily recruiting him, because most of these schools that are recruiting him consider him a top priority target. They're going to hold a spot for him. He has multiple top schools who've offered him in football and basketball. So I think he's going to wait a while. Not expecting anything anytime soon. Probably maybe even closer to signing day before Terrion Arnold makes a decision.
All right, we got another one coming in, and this is from Mr. Bosch. Jalen, Milroe, and Luke Altmyer updates.
We talk about these guys just about every single week because everybody wants to know who's going to be the quarterback in this year's recruiting class. And the only two guys that anybody feels like Alabama has a chance with, including myself, is Jalen Milroe, who's committed to Texas from the state of Texas, and Luke Altmyer, who is from Starkville, Mississippi, committed to Florida State. Now, most people are thinking, Luke Altmyer probably the best chance for Alabama, but as of right now, still very firm with his commitment to Florida State, and he's been very active on social media, trying to recruit guys to Tallahassee to join him. So I wouldn't pencil him in this class just yet. We just don't know what's going to happen. These guys, especially Jalen Milroe and Luke Altmyer, I feel like they need to get back to Tuscaloosa. They need to visit again, before we can even predict those guys to flip. Now, they're being heavily pursued, of course, but I'm not really predicting either one of them in Alabama's class just yet. I think Alabama's going to kind of continue to work there, get those guys on campus, see what happens, and then if both of those guys give them a firm no, hey, we're sticking with our commitments, then maybe Alabama ends up extending an offer to maybe a backup plan. Right now, we don't know who that backup plan might be, but rest assured, Alabama, has some guys on their list that they're strongly considering for a backup option.
We got a couple other questions, and we're approaching kind of the hour. We like to run it an hour, so if you want to catch all the additional coverage, go to BamaInsider.com. Great stuff right now on Kendrick Blackshire. And of course, we'll have a What It Means video that we'll reproduce right here on our YouTube channel. Be sure and hit the thumbs up button and the like button, subscribe button, all that stuff. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. We'll take a couple more questions. Here we go right here. Any other commitments to watch this week? I think we've kind of touched on that. What are you thinking, Bo?
Well, I always tell people that, you never know what may happen because we've seen some sneaky commitments over the course of the last month. Christian Leary kind of popped a few weeks ago right after we got off of our show. Kadarius Callaway came out of nowhere last Thursday and flipped from Mississippi State to Alabama. So you never know who may jump on board next. But what I'm watching pretty closely is I'm going to be watching. TJ Ferguson, who's going to be announcing at 2 p.m. Central on Sunday. I'm going to be watching that one pretty closely. Damon Payne going to be announcing his decision on July the 26th. So we're going to be watching that one pretty closely. There's some other guys that are out there that we're always kind of keeping an eye on. Robbie Oots, tight end from South Carolina. I said earlier that Brian Thomas is probably going to wait, but you just never know when if somebody like him may decide to jump on board. Khyree Jackson, as we mentioned earlier, another guy that could potentially make a decision sometime soon. But those are some of the main guys that we're keeping an eye on.
Got any update on Maason Smith? I mean, very talented defensive lineman.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Maason Smith, the number one defensive tackle in the country out of Louisiana, tweeted earlier today about if Louisiana doesn't have a high school football season, that he may just reclassify. Well, that kind of set off a storm, and everybody was saying how there were different national media people that were retweeting him and saying he was going to reclassify, and then about 20 minutes later, he finally put out that it was just a joke. Which, if you're I will give it advice to some high profile recruits or even any recruits. Everything you say on social media is probably going to be taken serious by national media people, even regional guys. I mean, they're going to jump on that and believe it immediately. Just say you're joking at the end of the sentence. But, with Maason Smith, I mean, Alabama's in the race. I find it, it's going to be probably pretty tough to beat out LSU, especially with their reputation on the defensive line. I mean, Alabama's got just as good, if not better, but LSU does a great job developing defensive linemen, and number one player in the state of Louisiana. Always tough to pull, but Alabama's certainly in the mix. think he's going to wait a good while before making a decision. But he did recently say that he knows of 4 schools that are probably going to get official visits, and that was Alabama, LSU, Georgia, and in Miami. He said he's still trying to find that 5th school that he's going to take an official visit to, but definitely Alabama's going to get an official visit, and that's all you can really ask for.
Hey, Bone, as we close up to the show, I mean, there's so much content on BamaInsider.com. I mean, our team writers, Tony Zukalis, he's been with us for such a long time, does such a great job. Tyler Waldrop, a new addition, plays a variety of roles at BamaInsider.com. Can you tell your recruiting followers why they should join BamaInsider.com or why they should contribute Super Chat wise to BamaInsider.com?
Well, I could go on for hours about that, but I feel like we do have a fantastic team over at BamaInsider.com. I mean, it's not just a once a week or once a day type thing over there. I mean, we got 2, 3, 4 stories every single day. Even though the football season camps aren't going on, we're still interviewing players. We're still putting out content. Got a great community of Alabama fans on our message boards that we talk to every single day. You don't have to come on the show on Tuesday nights and ask me a recruiting question. You can go to BamaInsider.com, ask me a recruiting question right now. I'll be on Bama Insider right when the show ends. I'll be on there at 2 a.m. in the morning.
He will.
Responding to questions. So if you got a question about any recruiting, you can go on there and ask me right now. But I really have enjoyed working with Tony and Tyler the last few months because they kind of shifted their focus to the recruiting side of things and really have done a great job interviewing coaches, high school coaches, interviewing players, tons of player updates on Bama Insider. Got a great story right now on BamaInsider.com. Kendrick Blackshire just committed, about 45 minutes ago to Alabama. We already have an interview with Kendrick Blackshire's high school head coach on BamaInsider.com. We got a what it means. We're breaking down what Kendrick Blackshire means to Alabama's recruiting class and much more on there. So go on there and check that out right now. I mean, we're talking about Kendrick Blackshire, how big of a commitment he is, but you can actually go read this stuff, read everything about him on BamaInsider.com right now.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I know we waited for a little while Kendrick Blackshire announced his commitment to Alabama. We're going to post a video here shortly, what it means. So be sure and hit the thumbs up button to subscribe to be sure and check that video out. Thank you very much for joining us. I know you got a lot of options out there when it comes to Alabama football coverage, but we appreciate you giving us your time, especially on Tuesday night. So be sure and catch us next Tuesday, every Tuesday, as we continue to talk about Alabama Crimson Tide football recruiting. Tons of momentum for this class. And of course, like Bone said, give us an opportunity for your business. Free 30-day promo code is simply Roll Tide. You can catch that in the description. We're always on BamaInsider.com. And again, my email, Kyle@BamaInsider.com, right here in Tuscaloosa, providing coverage on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Hope you guys have a beautiful night. Have a great week. Let's make it productive. Take care of each other. And we'll catch you soon back at BamaInsider.com. For Andrew Bone, Kyle Henderson. We'll catch you soon. BamaInsider.com. Thanks, everyone.